So I'm here to talk about the Finavia website renewal, and I was looking for some kind of aspect, so I came up with multi-vendor eCom solution. That's what the project basically was. And so I'm Joonas, and as you can see, I'm a back-end developer and a Scrum Master in a project. So I'm not the perfect business guy to talk about, but I guess I have the best overall picture of the whole project. So I'm trying to keep it less technical, and you can yell at me if I start blabbering too much about tech. There's a demo at the end, so I hope that I don't talk too much, so we have time to take a look at the website and the different parts, because it's a little bit difficult to show it on the slides. And then, well, we are Wunder. I didn't put here like all the offices. We are working in Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Germany, and these are our principles, straight from our website, so I don't want to read them out loud. But we do lots of stuff, and then they are focusing on digital solutions. Of course, Drupal is our main thing, but we try to like broaden our horizon also with other technologies, and this Finavia case was a pretty good example of that. So the project started in spring or beginning of the summer and 2017. And Finavia was renewing a lot of their digital channels, and they are also doing a major infrastructure investment on the whole terminal area. So this is also part of that, and it's still continuing. And they had a proprietary CMS system which they wanted to replace with Drupal, because I guess it was getting expensive to ask for changes, and they wanted to anyway get something modern and open source. So they approached several companies, and we were the winners of the bid. And the site visitors are mostly coming for the real-time information. Of course, there's like news and lots of information for airlines and operators and like static websites which don't update all the time. But most of the traffic goes for looking for flight information, public transportation, then the parking facilities, which are really big for Finavia, and other things like that. Services also, like which kind of services they have on the website. And improving the availability of the real-time information was a really important aspect, because the old system was down from time to time. Even when we were developing, I wanted to check something from the website, and it was just not opening anything. So it was really bad for Finavia that people cannot find their flight information. When is the flight departing or something? So they had to use maybe some other ways of finding that information. And I just checked this from our care team that the average uptime has been, since last November, 99.98%. And I got a nice screenshot also. I think we launched around November 9th. So this is the whole uptime until last week. I guess there are some downtimes from time to time, but they are really short. So what we did, of course, development, but also in this case, we were doing a little bit of user research, and then some parts of the UX and user interface design. There's another company which I will mention. They did the whole concept and most of the website design, but we were helping a lot with especially the parking and services listings, which are the eCom things. Some user testing, and then analytics was also not from the beginning, but let's say like after the summer, like quite from the beginning, really big part of the project, and we've been like still continuing that work all the time. I hope this is most of my tech talk. So we were doing everything on Drupal 8, but then we realized pretty soon that we will need React there. There's so much real-time information that we cannot store stuff in the database all the time. I think that was one of the main reasons why the old CMS was down, because they were bringing a lot of like really concurrent information to the database, and it was not maybe handling that all the time. So we had basically two front ends in this one. So the other one is the React thing with Webpack and Redux. That's for like all the fancy stuff and the whole parking booking, and then the click and collect shop, service listings, flight information, and so on. Then we had the basic Drupal theme, which was handling everything. So they were working together, that we were maintaining all the, like how it looks, how it feels was coming from the Drupal theme, but all the fancy functionality was in the React part. Then there were plenty of integrations to different systems, and then also migration from the previous CMS. There were news with some images, services, airlines, airports, travel items, and keywords, which were brought from the old system. So even although the news were not that relevant like from 2015, but all the services, airlines, airports, they are like the structure of the site. So if you want to have a service, it's connected to an airport, and the keywords and travel items are like there. So they didn't have to add all of those again. Then there's nicer things which we don't do, well, we didn't do all the time Cloudflare before. Now we have Cloudflare for everything, like CDN and DDoS attack prevention. And then payment gateways, there's actually 2, but we need to only worry about 1, because the other backend system was taking care of the other. And then I got to play with Elasticsearch for listing stuff for React. And so what is Finavia? So it's a Finnish airport operator, and they have 21 airports around Finland, and they have lots of employees and even more passengers. They're going to hit the 20 million boundary this year, probably, looks like that, because this is from January until September, I think. Yeah. And then at the same time, there were 7.2 million visits to the website. And the biggest airport is, of course, Helsinki Airport. That's what the website is mostly focused on. But there are also lots of regional airports, which makes the whole website structure a little bit more complicated, that you have to always think about the, like when you want to do a landing page or listing of services or news or something, you always have to think about a little bit more than just one airport. This is the map of all the airports, and the biggest ones are there. My hometown Kajaani is not marked as a big one, but it's really important in the middle of Finland. And then, yeah, Turku is my current hometown, where the Wunder office is also. So improving e-commerce. The previous website didn't have much. They had some service listings and offers visible at the website, but then at the same time they have an Hell mobile app, which already had a parking pre-booking. It had a launch reservation functionality, and also you could list through certain services and find products from the mobile app. So they wanted to bring that to the website. There was a parking pre-booking available before, which was like a separate, I think it was parking.helsinki.fi. So it was a separate site and looked different, had a different like a theme and feeling. So you had to move to another site to make a parking pre-booking. So they wanted to make that like really part of the website, so that they can link anywhere and make it more the flow like easier users. And then we had this decision to make that, how to handle that. So React was the only thing we really thought about, because I was kind of looking forward to working with Drupal Commerce, but it wasn't really a good choice. And we made some kind of interesting choices here, that we didn't want to build a React app which the Finavia content editors or administrators couldn't touch, so that they would have to always ask us for like code changes. So we built the layout and the structure in Drupal taxonomies, and then those are feeding the information for the React app. So they can touch certain parts of the parking flow without any code changes. This is an example. It's quite small, but like the top, the main image, all the steps, that's like something they can edit. Also the footer, they can choose what is there if they open in a pop-up or if they lead to another page. And then in the middle you have the React part, which is there's a date selector, and then the flow continues from there to make the actual booking. This is the click and collect part. This will be going away, but I asked the client for permission to talk about this because they want to show that things have to be tried out, and then there's some comments at the end of the presentation from the client, like what didn't really work with the click and collect. But we have done some work on the visuals and the flow, so they can bring it back later when they have better services available and maybe better contracts with other operators. So why didn't we go with Drupal Commerce? I was keen on looking at that. The old system was already using a custom backend, so there was lots of stuff ready, like user authentication, creating and completing the orders, and then managing your own credit cards. And there are nearly 12,000 parking slots, which can be like available or reserved, and they change by the minute. So there's no reason to try to bring that information like into other index like every minute and then check the situation, like if it can be booked or not. So we did that with React, and we request everything directly from the backend system. Multiple payment methods. There's most users are anonymous; they don't want to create an account. But there's this carrot we say in Finnish that you should log in, because then you can store your credit cards, and it's a lot faster. You just pick your parking spot, and then you don't have to give your information, and you don't need to use your bank authentication. You just choose your card, and then it can be charged. Yeah, and then there's two systems which was making it a little bit interesting. The anonymous users who are usually using the Finnish bank systems, that's going through the checkout, checkout.fi service. And then there's another one which is Payment Highway. And we didn't need to worry about that one because the backend system was handling the request for making the payments and, for example, adding or removing a card. But still we had to tell the backend system, like, now the user wants to do this or that. Did I go? No. So then this multi-vendor development. We were working together with Futurize and on the digital channels. Well, Finavia has been working with them before, and they are in charge of the whole concept for Finavia, the branding, like everything on the at the airport, all the physical material, website, the map app, and the mobile app, and then also there's Wi-Fi login pages for the regional airports and also for Helsinki, and that's what Futurize has been working before. And then we worked together with Futurize to bring their concept into the website, and they were kind of busy also, like when we were starting with the website, they were still like doing this news article layouts and so on. So we stepped in to help with the service listings and the parking flow. So we were we were working together with Futurize to use their concept idea and then add some user experience design on top of that, and also discussing good solutions for the visual part. And then, of course, they helped with the backend system because they were maintaining the old one, the Angular-based one, before. So there were some things that they were not completely decoupled, but it was pretty well decoupled before. So we were just making requests like, hey, we need this or that, and then they were implementing them as soon as they had time from other stuff. Then also Finavia is developing their own APIs, and if there's any developers, you can check their website. I think this is pretty new because we didn't use any of these open APIs yet, but we are moving to those pretty soon, maybe even starting from next year probably. And they are mostly focused on the flight information and security lane statuses and predictions. You can see them there. Well, there's a flight information on the left side. You can search for flights and choose a day. Well, basically it's today or tomorrow, and then now they're going to extend it for yesterday if you want to check some flight from yesterday. And also there's the prediction thing, which they have built themselves. I think they're using Bluetooth flow to calculate or estimate how many people are usually going around that time to different flights and going through the security systems. Then Finnair is working together with some operators. I'm sure there are more examples, but I found these two I remember. And so, for example, when you're booking a flight from Finnair, after the flight has been paid and it's like confirmed, there's a link that you can book a parking if you want, and everything is like pre-filled for you. So you only need to choose your departure or when you're gonna arrive to the airport specifically. And then also the airport taxi yellow line optimized their like embeddable form, because in the shape it was before they made it better, it was kind of impossible to embed into a nice text area. So now it's mobile friendly and quite narrow with some more steps. So content editors can basically embed it to any text area on the website. Then the analytics part, this one I don't know that much about, but I asked my colleagues, and I was implementing some of the customizations on the website end. But if you have any questions about some deep analytics improvements, so you can send them to my email, and I can forward them to those who know better. But this is what they told me, that defining the important web metrics was key thing at the beginning of the project. With different stakeholders, because Finavia is a big company, so they have different departments for e-commerce, sales, marketing, communications, and so on. So they went through with them like what kind of things you want to actually know about the usage of the website. And then they were customized to match those metrics. So these are a couple of the examples which even I kind of understand, but there's lots of other things they are following. And like content categorization was at least news and commerce content, how people are opening, how much usage they get. Then this custom nubref parameters, this has been pretty confusing for other companies who are also working with Finavia on the analytics. So for example, when they focus more on the content or the business thing. So these are popping up on the website, but these are how to follow how the website is actually used. And there's a screenshot of that. Then this internal search results amount is pretty important also, so that you know which kind of things people are searching for, but they don't get any results. And in Drupal, it's easy. Usually when you have the keyword there's a queue and then keyword, but Google doesn't know how many results there were. So now we are pushing always the amount, like how many results you get, at least until on the first page, and especially the 0 results are the most important things. So then when they see that people are looking for handicapped toilets or some service or something, and then they don't get any results, then they can improve their content so that they add keywords and make the content more relevant. Then the payment selection, also when you book a parking or buy something from the shop, you usually choose a bank, and we are following like how many people are using which banks, and also we can see if they're failing or if they're returning or if they're getting stuck, because every bank is different. The authentication is like, some have the machine which give you a code, some people are using the codes from the paper or from your phone, so those can be also followed. And then these customized analytics dashboards, I wanted to show some of them, but then there's lots of sensitive data from the client. So I can only show you gray boxes, but at least you get the idea what we have been doing for them. So this is the first screen. It's really focused on the parking, but they have one for newsroom also, and maybe some others which I didn't even ask about. But this is the most interesting one because the parking is a major income for Finavia, so they want to know how is it used, and if there's any problems or why people are not doing this or that. And yeah, so well, yeah, I talk about that, but then things of interest, what they have on the parking, for example, is the reservation of the length per area. They have 15 different boards for just parking, different dashboards, and you can see every parking area separately if you want. And so these are the interest points. How much in advance the reservation is made per area. Also, the additional services they have, you can choose a car wash and a premium lane, so you can get faster to the security when you're buying a parking booking or pre-booking. And also the sources of traffic, if people are coming from Facebook, Twitter, AdWords, or organic search. So this is the sensitive data, but this would be the first screen of like 15, yeah. I was actually wondering why is this like there's some gaps, but that's not my. Maybe it's 4 to 6 days, but or they are just interested on those days. This was the navref thing I was talking about. So if you don't have those custom parameters on all the links on the website, you don't know how people are actually navigating. You can only try to guess, like if they go from here there, and it's kind of difficult to know, like if they just open another tab or close them or come from Google or how they navigate the site. So this is, you can see that more than half of the people are using the paragraphs to navigate. Paragraphs are the like big blocks on all the main sites, the front page, Helsinki-Vantaa, the listing of airports, those are all built with paragraphs. So the content editors can actually build the navigation even without menu. Only like 1/5 of the users seem to use the menu to navigate around the site. So it's maybe someday we will have a site without a menu. Then we added a new airport select thing at some point next to the logo so that you can go quickly to any airports, because mostly it's Helsinki-Vantaa based, but then of course if you're coming from Oulu or Rovaniemi, you want to go directly to your local airport to check the flights and so on. Then there's some others. Home is the home logo, and then lift up and related, those are for news, so the usage is low, and then nobody seems to use the footer. There's not much stuff anyway. Then continuous development. We've been continuing after the launch, which was in November, beginning of November. We have continued full-time development, and from Wunder side we have one front-end and one back-end developer on the project. And we've been doing releases almost every week. I was just checking the list, and I think we had at least 30 releases this year. And they are like depending, client is prioritizing everything all the time in Kanban style. We don't have any sprints anymore. So we are just doing releases when they seem that they want to get this to production quickly. Sometimes we are working on a bigger thing for 2 weeks, and if there's nothing like urgent coming, we don't do a release. But then there might be 3 releases in 1 week if they want to put some small things. So it's really agile in that sense. And we haven't had really a focus on specific things, but basically everything has been improved, and there has been some new features here and there, but I don't know if there's anything big first. Well, the newsroom was improved a lot already in springtime to make it visually better, and then get some more like related news so that the user engagement will be higher. So some lessons learned. There are probably lots of smaller things when it comes to the multi-vendor thing, and then also taking in new technologies, but those are something which happens in every project. The most important aspect here was that, well, the client had first one PO, but then, like I said, they have different departments. So they needed to have a person who can actually ask and take care of all of them. So we had this shared PO responsibility at the beginning, and then you have to be really careful that you know you're synchronizing the deliveries, and you're not focusing as a provider, or as we are working with the client, that we have to also maybe ask a little bit that like, is this like, should we really focus on this all the time, or is there some other stakeholders at place? But that's why we have steering groups in projects every 2 weeks, so the whole company knows where we are going. And then also the team size. We started with probably 2 big teams, because, or at least too many people were involved in this sprint kind of work, because on our end we had only 4 people working, or 3 actually actively. But then there were a couple of designers from Futurize, they're back-end developers and so on. So it's not really, you need to decide that at least in your own flow, that who could be like external resources. So they don't have to be in the dailies and the plannings and so on, but you have to make sure that the communication is flowing both ways. It just makes the sprint work a lot easier when you have the team size down, and then you know that how much is your velocity and so on. And now we are currently changing, or let's say merging issue tools, because we had 2 different, we had one Jira for us, and then Futurize was using Kanban flow. So it was a bit difficult for the PO to prioritize things, and we couldn't really link issues easily to tell that we need to do this one first before we can do this. So now we are moving to one Jira, which is Finavia's own, but there's also challenges, because 2 companies have 2 different workflows, processes, and also they are also doing the design part, which is now we have actually 3 boards in one Jira. So one is for the design thing, then the other one is for development. So when some design is ready, it jumps to develop next. And basically we are focusing on the one board, which is like waiting for stuff to appear there on the develop next. But the main thing is that we are sharing one big backlog, and issues can be linked together, they can be marked as subtasks, and hopefully it will make it a little bit easier for the PO to follow what is happening and when it's something done. But we are still improving the flow, adding maybe statuses or adjusting the board so that it's easy to use. Oh yeah, then this long text slide with words from Finavia. This is mainly about the click and collect, which is now going to be replaced with the launch booking, because click and collect is not, there are some products, but it's not producing income, and it's probably quite expensive also to maintain that. Even if we don't make any changes, they need to have contracts for paying the operators for products and so on. So there's some customer service which show that the passengers are willing to plan shopping, but they don't want to buy anything in advance, at least not yet. And I think the main problem, also on my view, was that the whole supply should be there, not just a couple of stores with some offers or some like premium products. You would like to see like everything, or then probably nothing, because if you can only see a few products from a store, you probably want to go to the store and see everything what you can buy there. And yeah, the service development has to be based on existing needs. So I think the whole big decision to make an e-commerce shop should have been planned on an early stage with the airport operators, which means the stores and cafes and everything. So it should be planned together, and then see if there is a need even for that before starting to implement things. And then, of course, active marketing and communications. If people don't know that you can buy stuff in advance, then it's probably not going to attract many users. There are some numbers. These are not the most recent ones, but probably from spring, some months after the launch, half year. Yeah, more visitors, sales growth, mostly parking. It has been growing all the time as they are more marketing it more and more. But I would like to think that there's also our part that we made it easier, and also the 5 times more registered users. That's probably because of the user UX design, so that it's easy when you're pulling your information there. You can just check a checkbox that you will provide a password, and then you have an account. So it's pretty easy to make an account, and then you can use your own credit cards and so on, so on. And the increase has been also in organic traffic. Then the awards. We had one German developer on the team, so we were allowed to participate in the Splash Awards, Germany. Then we won the e-commerce part, and then we could also go to the Europe, and we won also there the e-commerce category. And then also for Futurize, they took part in this the Lowy Awards, which is based like design and user experience and lots of other stuff. And they won. They came second in the best user experience. Then the future. There's lots of stuff happening all the time, but the biggest things will be the launch booking will be improved, both on the mobile app, but also now bring it to the web. And I'm not sure about when it's going to be launched, but it has been worked on like after the summer. And then now there's a parking online payment on exit. I was not like following that development that keenly, so I was like wondering like what does it mean, like parking online payment? You can already pay your parking online, but that's the thing when you just drive in, so you don't pre-book your parking, but when you're leaving from the hall, you can just use your mobile to pay it. You don't have to find your ticket machine. Then this is proof of concept. I tried to put it into one sentence when the friend was telling me about this, but it's behavioral web analytics combined with other business intelligence, and they are pushing all the data into some Amazon web service and then trying to see how they can improve or give out some business intelligence from how people are using the site and what they are doing and what they actually buy and how they use the parking, and then later with the launches. And lots of other stuff all the time. Yeah, I still have some time for demo. Let's see. Of course, the resolution is pretty low. No, actually. So I'm not going to go through all the content editor tools and so on. Just take a look at the flow a little bit. So these are the paragraphs I was talking about, so you can follow how the navigation is used. But here is the airport selection, and then flight information. We can search for flight to Tallinn, although I should be looking flight from Tallinn, but I just want to show also the security graph, which is already visible instantly when you choose a flight. And these things are coming from this Finavia's own API. Yeah, there's the airport map. There you can search for the travel items. Let's try explosives. Oh no. What about, what was the thing? Battery. No, batteries can be, but mobile phone battery. Yeah, so this is something, for example, if you want to check, can I take it to the cargo? No, but you can take it with you. Oh, there's a long description about spare batteries. Then there was the public transportation. This is more relevant when you're leaving the airport, so you can see instantly which transportation is leaving from where and what time. And this displays all the local trains, but also long distance buses to, I'm not actually sure. They are mostly local ones, but there should be some long ones. They're going less frequently. Then there was the taxi thing. Yeah, this is a individual company, so they have their own service page here, and this is just basically an embedded iframe, which is not a big deal, but yeah, Finavia content producers can add them anywhere they want, and yeah, the company made it more easier to use on an embedded space, but also on the mobile it should work pretty nicely. Then there's the newsroom. This was actually not done with React. There are not that many news, so the views can handle this pretty easily. But also they are always relevant to certain airports. So if you go to the Oulu landing page, you can see here some news which might be more relevant to Oulu if there's some local news happening. At the moment, probably nothing that specific to Oulu. Then I can show you the from the dev side. Let's hope that they haven't broken it. So here I can actually log in. If I remember my password. Yeah, I did. So there's orders and receipts for your, well, I have lots of parking orders because I was testing this. So you can see them here. There's order confirmations. And then also the credit cards. These are all test credit cards from the sandbox. So they are not all valid, but these can be used also for testing the parking. But I will log out so that I can show you the flow as an anonymous user. Yeah, so this was the part which they can edit themselves, but then here is the React app. And you can see the availability for today. Well, this is connecting to the dev backend, so it's not correct. It's a little bit more busy, I think, at the moment. But, oops. Let's take a 1-day reservation from here. Yeah, there's also, depending on the area, there might be this car wash. I'm actually not exactly sure, but I think they're washing your car when you're traveling, so it's pretty cool. I'll use my work email so you can actually see the confirmation coming in. This was funny, like we didn't have this confirmation thing because everybody thought it's stupid, like me now. But there were actually cases because there's lots of parking orders. I would say between 300 or 500 or something orders coming in. There's always somebody who's misspelling their email and then they're like, where's my confirmation? Because there's no other way of retrieving it, unless of course you're logged in, but mostly are not. Here you can put your car license number. I think this was for, yeah, for car wash, but also some people might have like this license plate recognition, so you can just drive in and it will be charged automatically. And this is the part which makes the login or the account creation a lot easier. So if you just want, you will give here a password and then an account will be created for you automatically. There's the premium lane booking. So this is really, if you want to go faster, then you can add here people. But I will skip it now. And hopefully the payment buttons work. Yeah, they do. So that's actually the part when we fetch from checkout FI, like we have this kind of order, this amount, so give me the buttons for different banks. And these also work for anonymous users, but these are not your own, so you have to go through the, like put your number and then the confirmation and so on. But if you were logged in, this would be replaced with your own credit cards. I think I can use Nordea, it's pretty easy. Test account. Laura Testi. I think Laura is here, but not Laura Testi. And if nothing is broken, at this moment it's completing the order to the backend system, and here you can download the receipt and the confirmation. And this is also dynamic. If you have booked a car wash, then you can see the information about that there. I should have now confirmation here in my email. This is coming from the backend system also. And I can also cancel my order instantly if there's something missing. I still have 3 minutes left. I can show you a little bit about the click and collect, which is going away. There will be launch booking here, but there's still some products and related to services. But as you can see, there are not that many. Well, okay, there's a lot more than I checked last time, which was a long time ago. But let's check this one. And there's also possibility to reserve if you don't want to buy instantly, but you can reserve this and then pick it up when you're going. And the last thing I will show is the services listing. So this is one service, and they happen to have products, so they are displayed here. This was also built with React, like we didn't have a full app. So Drupal renders the page, but there's one component which is fetching the products for the service. Because Drupal actually doesn't even know anything about products. They are only in the Elasticsearch index. Then there's a list of services, and this is actually also pretty interesting that this was the design, or this is the design at the moment, but people are quite often starting to look, they don't even realize that there's shops selected. So you're looking for a cafe, and there's one which is also selling or has some store, but you have to go first here. So this might be also redesigned pretty soon, that you don't need to choose any main level. You can just start searching, and they will be probably something more like categories here. But as you can see, this is the best part of React. It's pretty snappy. And yeah, I think that's it from me. Sponsors and thanks. Any questions? Yeah, microphone, I guess.
You mentioned that you store credit card information, right?
We don't. It's the backend system, which is because actually, yeah, I kind of didn't mention, because I try to stay away from the tech. The users are not logging into the Drupal at all. We are logging into the backend system. So we get the session from there, and then there's also where the credit cards are stored. So actually, we didn't have to worry much about GDPR on this case. We only have basically the content producers and their accounts there and their email addresses in Drupal database.
I was more wondering about securing the credit card information, but if you don't store it yourself, so then it's okay for you.
Yeah. I was also happy about that. Like, I don't have to store that information.
And second question, why did you choose React but not Vue or?
Well, I said I'm a senior backend developer, so I
Okay.
didn't have much to say in that sense. I think it was just pretty. I think that some people were saying that Vue would be better, but I think React was the thing we went forward with and have worked really well. Anyone else?
Any more questions?
All right.
If not, then thank you.
Yeah, thank you.